Garth has his book for sale. You have his email, Garth Fisher at yahoo.com. This is actually called bibliomancy when you thumb through something like this. I've been doing this for years and years. It's an attunement actually to subtle energy. If you just go all the way through a book and you go, yeah, la, 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 and your mind is somewhere else, nothing's going to happen. But if you turn with intention those pages, just very slowly, very, very slowly, there will come, before you reach the end, some little inner prompting that says, oh, that's the right one.
So it says there are two forms of feedback to your thoughts. One is your emotional physical. The other is your intuitive spiritual response. Both have important knowledge for you, but you must discern the difference between the two. That's your fortune cookie out of the book.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I eat that fortune cookie, I digest it, and I enjoy it tremendously.
Okay. The fear of non-existence, in quotation marks, is the core of our deepest anxieties. Does a tree die when it falls to the ground? Does the star die when it explodes into the universe? Do you need to sell your soul to survive? So when I wrote these, I would sit in my meditative state with a pad in my hand and I'd just start writing. And then I would fold it up, put it in an envelope and pass it out the next day. Sometimes what gets said is something that shows up later.
I was slow to process my fortune cookie, but I realized it's more like any message from the subconscious, as we once discussed during one of our programs. It's kind of symbolic or metaphoric. It has many dimensions or many facets to it. So really, when you read your fortune cookie, it's like there will be certain facet that will shine out, I guess, more for each of the people here. So and I learned that the best way for me to interpret the one that he read for me personally was through associations, not just focusing with my mind, trying to stick to every single word, but kind of let go, you know, step a little bit back and just see what associations will come up to my mind. And I was fascinated what I came up with.
Can you care and let another have their pain? Can you stay back while another fails? Can you withhold when another demands what they want? Can you let another learn from their experience when you already know the answer? If so, you know the meaning of love.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. I know I've always tended to be a fixer, you know, love to fix other people's problems and be a savior, jump in and help people, rescue them and stuff like that. So I sort of come to a point in my life where I think I need to get out of the rescue business.
Yeah, either enabling or caretaking to the extreme.
Yeah, there's always the middle, right? There's always that middle place, right, between the two. But, you know, but if you get stuck in sort of like a, you know, not letting somebody else find their own place to grow, to experience, you're sort of robbing them from their own development.
Yes. I had to learn that early on in my career as a social worker. Otherwise, I got sucked into the people's stories and their tales, and then I ended up suffering.
Yeah.
Taken advantage of.
Well, I guess it's something I still need to hear. So, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Let me read something that I wrote briefly here about a master in training. It's at the back of my book, but it goes something like this. A master is someone who has learned the difference between the ego personality and the true self, and has begun to live intentionally rather than instinctually. A master is someone who has learned how to have full emotional experiences and still does the day-to-day work of living. A master is someone who feels all the sensations of the desire body and consciously chooses to fulfill or postpone the satisfaction of the desire. A master is someone who, after realizing the truth, begins to apply the insights to day-by-day living and begins to share that awareness with others who are asking to know the truth for themselves. That's out, the bottom line's out of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which really got me started back in the 70s, asking all sorts of questions. But that's at the end, that's my working definition of a master.
Garth, I just want to say I really love your description of the master. I sometimes think of that as my higher self. When we are able to tune into that master is that really that higher self, and making good choices is really being in touch with that higher self and letting that higher self sort of run the show versus all of the multiple parts of my personality that seem to want to, jump to get the microphone first. And then they're sort of running around crazy. Nobody's, like all these children, and there's no adults in the house. So the whole idea of, activating that master so that, that there's really an adult there, sort of making sure everybody is getting along.
I like your analogy. That's perfect.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it today.
You're welcome.
Obviously, we're always going to use the thinking mind to review these kinds of intuitive hits or insights, but I think that there's really no better way to live, because if you're using your thinking mind to review your intuitive hits, then that's a sane and balanced way to go through life, rather than living in your analytical mind and rarely opening up your intuitive mind. It certainly needs to be a balance, but that right brain doesn't much come online unless that left brain is quiet enough for it to do that. May we all pull some fortune cookies out of the oven in the days and weeks and months ahead to come. And thank you, Garth, for reminding us
You're
of
welcome.
the importance of tuning in and sharing inner wisdom that we get